Good morning, friends. India has two good friends. They support us in all our positions at the United Nations. But only two friends. One is Bhutan and the other is Mauritius. Bhutan, because a bulk of their budget is really Indian development assistance. Mauritius, so many reasons. You know the history of Mauritius, how Indian indentured labor was taken there to replace slave labor by paying Indians £3 a year as salary, so that it's not called slavery. Today, 65% of the population is of Indian origin. Out of 25 cabinet ministers, 24 have to be of Indian origin. The Prime Minister and President have not only to be of Indian origin, they should belong to a particular caste in Bihar. Foreign Secretary revealed last year that Indian development assistance to Mauritius during the last 10 years amounted to $1.1 billion US. We helped build the metro in Mauritius. You may not be aware, but 100% of all petroleum requirements of Mauritius is supplied by India. The Mangalore refineries is the source for 100% of all petrol, diesel, fuel oil. If we do not supply those fuels, Mauritius will have to shut down. There is tremendous goodwill for us. One of the reasons is that Indian diplomacy has succeeded in doing something there that we have perhaps failed in our neighborhood. That is, we have not taken sides in domestic politics. Our problem with Maldives or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh today is that we became too close to one political party, resulting in our neglect for the opposition. So when there is a change in regime, either we become great friends or we become very difficult neighbors. In Mauritius, there are two major parties, one led by the Ram Gobind family and the other by Jagannath family. And we have kept excellent relations with both. And also with the third leg, that is Paul Bérenger, one solitary Frenchman who is active in politics. So even if there is a change in government, their position relating to India does not change. This is what I meant yesterday by saying using diplomacy in the Indian Ocean region to enhance our reach, to enhance our maritime domain influence. What has been the outcome of this? When I was in Mauritius between 2011 and 13, that was a time when we were preparing for providing more and more assistance. Mauritius has no navy, no air force, no army. They basically have a police force and a coast guard. And that coast guard is ably run by the Indian Navy, who reports to the Indian High Commissioner to get their CRs approved by the Indian High Commissioner there. So the situation is very different. We are able to assist them in so many manners. One day I received a call that a Russian satellite is broken up and is falling in the Indian Ocean. Can you please tell us whether it will fall over Mauritius? We already have a monitoring post for the space in Mauritius run by ISR. So it was very easy for us to reassure them, you're all safe. It will fall in the Indian Ocean, but nowhere near you. It was also the time when we decided to provide Coast Guard vessels mentioned by Admiral yesterday. We have provided 2 of them. One is Barracuda and the other is Victory. We have provided various other vessels and support systems. And we were talking to them about developing something called Agalega, which I mentioned yesterday. There are 2 tiny islands, total area 24 square kilometers, both linked by a narrow sandbar over which you can drive a tractor when it is low tide. There was a small landing strip, 800 meters long, made of coral actually, where dorniers would land once in a while. But before I left, I got agreement in writing from the government that we could assist them in developing that facility. And as I mentioned yesterday, Foreign Secretary announced last year that based on an agreement signed in 2015 between India and Mauritius during the visit of Prime Minister Modi, over a 10-year period, we have managed to complete that project. And a 3-kilometer long airstrip now exists on Agalega to serve a population of 320 people. It of course enhances the capability of Mauritius to do surveillance, reach out and dominate the sea around them. Please remember that Agalega is 1,050 kilometers away from Mauritius. 1,050 kilometers away from Mauritius. That's almost as far as where Andaman is away from us. So we have managed to develop that in a very cooperative manner. And that is what we should be doing with all of the countries in the Indian Ocean. I was reading today China Daily of yesterday, which said that Shanghai University is collaborating with Indonesia in restoring their coral reefs. This is the kind of thing that we should be doing. We should be using blue economy. We should be using our resources, and we should be putting more resources into this area. I was present in a meeting in New Delhi at the highest level 16 years ago, and the then Prime Minister lamented how we have ignored our coastal resources, how we have let go of the opportunity of becoming a major shipbuilding power. So I was glad to hear from Professor Seshadri Chari yesterday that we have reached out to Korea and the Koreans are ready to work with us. So there's so much we can do, and we have begun to do those things. I only wish that we had started doing all this much earlier. There's a lot of work to do. The Navy, Coast Guard, our economic ministries, fishing for instance. My early interactions with Andaman, I was told, Andaman Sea is the only place in the world where fish die of old age. The problem is that we have settled that island with people who have no idea about fishing. From parts of India, from interior parts of India, who have no seafaring traditions. And about developing fishing in those areas, when I talked to some people, they said, you know, the Ministry of Fishing in Delhi is full of people who have never seen the sea. In Kerala, please drive along the coast. You'll find lots of homes along the coast, all facing the road, with not even a window open towards the sea, except in tourism projects. Other than resorts, no Kerala house faces the sea, even when it's right on the beach. So we have this mentality of looking away from the sea, despite being so close to it. That has to be overcome. Not only here, but in Delhi. And we have indications that Delhi has started doing so. A very good gesture, and I hope more will happen. Let me also briefly mention what we managed to do with the UAE. It's also along the Indian Ocean. When I went there 2013, no Indian Prime Minister had visited UAE for 34 years. The last Prime Minister to visit UAE from India was Indira Gandhi in 1981. And the then leader of Abu Dhabi, now President, told me, Ambassador, you have now time for us. You are constantly busy with elections somewhere or other in India. And when you are free from elections, you go fly over us to Europe. You stop for refueling perhaps, but you fly over us. And then when you look at India, you look at us only through the prism of Pakistan. But please note, our substantial relationship is more with India than with Pakistan. Pakistan is a brother. We have to help them. They are in crisis most of the time. And we will help them. But we have 3 million Indians in UAE compared to 1 million Pakistanis. We have stopped most Bangladeshis from coming here because of their undesirable activities. And then he said, we prefer good non-Muslims to bad Muslims. For you to interpret. Prime Minister Modi came there in 2015, and it changed our bilateral relationships. An agreement which signed, which indicated that they are ready to put 75 billion US dollars into India. Recently, they have upped it to 100 billion US dollars to India. So that's a rapidly growing relationship in the Indian Ocean and covers areas like space cooperation, maritime cooperation, and so on. They would like warships to be built in India, which they are ready to buy, and they are ready to sell to Saudis also. But most importantly, we managed to do something. Go beyond transactional purchase of oil. We set in motion the creation of strategic petroleum reserves by bringing in crude from UAE and putting it into abandoned mines underground in India. We have created capacity for 5.6 million tons in Karnataka and Andhra. Visakhapatnam, Padur, Mangalore. So today we have 5.6 million tons of UAE oil sitting underground in India. And we can draw from it any day and pay the price of that day. It will be refilled again. Why do you need it? Yesterday, Admiral talked about dark ships. Ships that switch off their indicators as to where they are located. I believe the American fleet close to Iran has already done so. If there is a conflict against Iran, and Iran uses 2 of its old ships, sinks them in the Arabian Gulf, in the narrow part of it, that is the end of oil flowing from UAE to India, till you are able to remove them. It's a reality that may happen this evening or tomorrow. So what does the Strategic Petroleum Reserve do? India today has capacity of surviving 74 days using our petroleum reserves. And we are thinking of expanding this even further with the addition of another 6.5 million capacity in Odisha and Padur and so on. So this is all part of our maritime strategy. And there's so much we can do through cooperation, through mutual benefit with those countries. And for that, our diplomacy has to do much more. Thank you.